This video is powered by, as always, entertainment. If you enjoyed this content, consider becoming a patron over on patreon.com/asalways for access to the Patreon exclusive podcast, The Kill Connor Clubhouse, early access to the Cinema Room podcast, being part of polls for future videos, and other early access material. With that said, please enjoy the video. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order was revealed a while back, and there'd been much speculation based solely on their first trailer, which was a solid, great trailer. I actually broke it down pretty in depth if you're interested. I'm not saying to go over there, but you should probably go over there. Give it a watch. No, seriously, give it a watch. I spent time trying to identify which planet he was on in this shot based on the sun and the rocks. I shouldn't have, but I did. And if that doesn't deserve a view, then nothing does. So off you pop, over there. I'll be waiting. Well, now you're back, I'm sure you're feeling super hyped up and into it, so that's great stuff. We're going to talk about more things Jedi Fallen Order. You excited? Great, let's bloody do it. So first things first, we got a brand new demo from E3. Sorry, I mean EA Play. It wasn't E3, it was EA Play. But it was technically E3, wasn't it? EA showed us a 13-minute and 55-second demo of their new Star Wars game, giving a look at the environment, the combat, the characters, the combat, the music, the combat, the atmosphere, the combat, and the combat. And it looks pretty good. I liked it. I wasn't blown away, but I liked it. But hang on, there's more. We found out sometime after EA Play that the demo shows us very, very little. It's made to display mostly, if you hadn't already guessed it, the combat, which looks nice, but it turns out that the game is actually a lot more than that, which I'll go over later. But first, we do have the demo itself, which I want to take a look at. Maybe sort of a breakdown and also give my thoughts on it, if you care about that. If you don't, feel free to watch my Avengers breakdown. But then again, that also contains my thoughts, so be well prepared. I often give my thoughts. Before we get started, I want to thank our Patreon producers, King Richard III, Kassassin, Elsterco91, Seth, and Josh Devillier. Thank you so much for your continued support. So the new trailer gives us a lot, but also not a lot. I don't know why I wrote that into the script. That makes near to no sense. Oh, for fuck's sake. Literally as I'm making this video, EA tweet out that they've released an extended version of the demo. Okay, I'll leave in my breakdown of the original trailer, and then afterwards I'll break down the bits in which the extended version added things, which is quite a considerable amount. Okay. Let's go. We open with a shot of the main menu for some reason. Often with these demos, the main menu doesn't reflect that of the finished game, so why did they show it? It beats me, but it looks nice. We then get the signature EA Star Wars opening of a TIE fighter, because nothing screams, I'm Star Wars, feel nostalgia for me, I'm that thing you liked as a child, buy me, like the roar of a TIE fighter. That being said, the atmosphere is nailed from the get-go, which is nice. There's something about these AAA Star Wars games, regardless of the quality as a game, that always nails the atmosphere, and that's no different here. I'd also like to note it's running at 1440p 60 frames per second, indicating that the final release will be 60 frames per second. Whether it'll be 1080p, 1440p, or 4K isn't really known, since I upload in 1440p, even if the actual raw video is 1080p, simply due to it looking better on YouTube due to compression. We then see our boy Cameron Monaghan with his little droid BD-1 as he hops upon his back, and they proceed into the jungle facility. We then see a questionable running animation, which I'm sure could be polished before the final release, followed by some Uncharted 4 swinging, and then some parkour, all of which looks good, but my main concern is with the animation transitions. The base animations look good, but the way that they transition into one another looks janky. I feel this would be easy to polish and probably should be prior to release. Next up, we see some lovely rebels, and this oddly textured Wookiee. I really hope we see an improvement to some of these textures, because the original trailer led us to believe the game would look gorgeous. However, in this demo, it looks really rough. Could just be that the fact that this is an early build and still needs to be polished, and I hope so, because, well, this doesn't even look the same, does it? We get a look at our 3D map, which is nice. It's a little bit confusing and honestly doesn't look entirely helpful. It looks cool, though. We also get a look at the fact we're on Kashyyyk, which I deduced from the first trailer, but you'd know that because you went and watched my trailer breakdown before this, didn't you? Also, it's weird to me that although this is EA, and I'm sure it's using Frostbite, the HUD and everything just looks like Battlefront. Same font and stuff, the same controls at the bottom, just so strange that there's a different dev team and yet it looks like it's almost part of the same franchise. We then get a look at the lightsaber being used as a torch, which is nice, although the saber itself is a little bit odd looking, should really be more white in the center with a blue glow. However, for whatever reason, it's just sort of like a single blue laser. Hopefully, again, this is something to be touched up before the final release, because I'm not having a lightsaber look like this. If it looks like this, I will buy it just to spit on it. No, I won't do that, but I would be slightly irritated, and I'm sure I'd tweet about it excessively. By the way, follow me on Twitter, link below. We then see Cameron Monaghan use the Force against this slightly damaged door, allowing entry, which looks nice, and it's nice to see the Force being used for more than just combat. We then get our first look at the combat as Cameron Monaghan uses the vine to swing into battle and strike down a stormtrooper. The animations look nice, the combat looks strategic, and the Force integration looks really fun. I'm also a sucker for when lightsabers deflect blaster fire back at the shooter. Yes, get fucked. We then see use of a similar force power to something Kylo Ren uses in The Force Awakens, holding the blaster fire in the air and freezing everything around him, which is pretty sweet. I always saw that as a dark side power, but that's probably only because we've ever seen Kylo Ren use it. This is then followed by a throw of his lightsaber and BD-1 opening a door. As we enter the next room, oh Jesus Christ, that poor droid. But regardless, that was pretty cool. We then see some more combat with these dudes holding weapons that are a bit tougher to defeat than regular blaster guys, and with some beautiful animations to finish them off. Next up, we get even tougher guys and yet another stormtrooper design added to the original trilogy timeline that never appeared in the original trilogy. Seriously though, isn't it weird that so many different stormtroopers now exist in the canon timeline from the games, the anthology movies, the TV shows that are added into this period of where the original trilogy is set, but we never see them in the original trilogy? It's starting to get silly now, guys. Why didn't these guys protect the Emperor or help Vader? Why? The combat here looks nice. The animations are well done and look strategic. It's a lot tougher, and this is where we see the combat shine. When up against a foe that has a weapon or abilities that'll push us to use all of our skills, which is something that I really like. We then move to the next area where there are some flame beetles and some stormtroopers with flamethrowers. So there's just a lot of fire. These guys are easily dispatched, and then we have some more climbing, which again looks nice yet also janky. It's mostly those transitions. EA, fix it. We then see BD-1 used to get to another area. Now we gotta look at these big old fuckers. They're like the spider things, and I hate them. I really truly hate them, and I will kill each and every one of them on this godforsaken planet. They are my mortal enemy. After these enemies are defeated, we get a bit of downtime to explore. We see looting. Cal uses the Force to see how this trooper died, whether it's by activating a recorder or potentially doing some other Force tricks. I can't be sure. We then move on. We then see some swimming, which is nice. You can swim, so there's that. Followed by some more climbing. Star Wars canonically having a stormtrooper reference a Star Wars meme.
Oh, this is it. At least we have the high ground.
And more combat, a pirouette, and more combat. Everything else is pretty standard. We see lots more combat, nothing too new, and then finally, at the end, we see Cal freeing the Wookiees to then be attacked by one of those Rogue One droids, who appear to be another enemy type, which is great stuff. Looks like they'll be tough, which is cool. And that's it, that's the demo. Like I said, when you see a 14-minute demo, you expect a lot, and they did show a nice amount, but it also wasn't a lot, especially when you hear what I have to say next. Is what I would say if EA hadn't just dropped an extended version of the demo midway through making this video. This would have been the part of the video where I go into talk about the structure of the game based upon an article, which I will still do, but it turns out, like I said earlier, EA have now released an extended version of the demo, so let's talk about the new stuff. So this time it opens with Cal and BD-1 floating in some water, a big open space of water on the planet of Kashyyyk. We can assume something happened prior to this for them to be in this situation. Sorry, I was just reading that back. Of course something would have happened prior to this for that to be the case. The universe didn't just come into being with them in the water and that's life and that's where the game starts. Obviously something had to happen before for this to be the case. That was stupid. Anyway, likely they needed to jump out of their ship to clear a path on foot for their ship to land later on. We really get a sense of scale of these planets as this area appears massive and you can swim in all directions. How far you can go in each direction is yet to be seen, but it looks very expansive. Above in the sky you can see Republic gunships that look to be repurposed by the Rebellion, or more likely Saw's freedom fighters, as one shoots down a TIE fighter. We see Cal swim towards a giant AT-AT walker moving through the water. These appear to be the proto-AT-AT walkers as seen in Star Wars Rebels, which is a nice continuity touch. On top of this, the set piece displayed is beautiful. All the climbing around this giant moving structure, the blaster fire rocking Cal around, the music, the fighters overhead, this whole section is gorgeous. Next, we head inside the AT-AT and look at a ladder for a while, before using a speeder bike to hop down into the inner area of the ship. Some more combat is displayed, same as the rest of the trailer. It's looking really nice. We then we look around again for a while Before proceeding into the cockpit of the AT-AT, Cal and BD-1 perform a comical distraction showing their friendship and adding some more light-hearted moments into this demo before the player takes control of the walker and starts gunning down Imperials. This whole section feels huge, seeing the amount of ground they can cover. I can only imagine what secrets are found when moving through this space on foot. This also is the first time that Cal meets Saw Gerrera as he jumps onto the cockpit of the AT-AT and instructs Cal on what to do. This then leads to a boss fight of sorts with a large Imperial transport ship. It really showcases the destruction available in this game. I doubt the destruction is entirely consistent, but it shows a lot of areas are destructible. We then get a cutscene in which Cal is formally introduced to Saw Gerrera and explains they're here to find a Wookiee chieftain, Tarful, who appeared in Revenge of the Sith and was the other Wookiee which Yoda said goodbye to when leaving Kashyyyk just after Order 66. He also appeared in Clone Wars in an episode called Wookiee Hunt. Moving forward, we learn the origin of Cal's lightsaber, saying he received it from his master, which is what I assumed. Now, this next section shows us a brief glimpse into the section I'm going to discuss next. We're shown that Cal can talk to his crew members, of which at this stage there are only 2, and also we see him enter the ship. I'm sure there'll be a few things that we can do within the ship, but we see Cal access the galaxy map. This shows the different planets that are currently available to travel to using your ship whenever you choose. The next section of this video will dive deeper into this with some more info coming from an article, so stick around for that part. I tried to identify these potential planets using a Star Wars galaxy map linked below, but I mean, how the fuck am I meant to make sense of any of this? And for all we know, these planets aren't necessarily this close together, or even in the same area. And this map probably isn't really to scale at all, so it's impossible to say. It seems we're able to spin the map, zoom in and out, likely meaning that there'll be a lot more planets than the 4 shown here, probably meaning you can zoom out to a galaxy view and then zoom in to a system view. It also shows that we can view a planet's surface, maybe meaning there are multiple points on each planet which we're able to dock our ship at, making it easier to fast travel across these large spaces. That can also tell us that these are large spaces and not small contained hub areas, but they are quite large. This is all, of course, speculation because I know absolutely nothing. Well, not nothing. I know what this demo is giving me, and combining that with my extensive and sometimes over-the-top video game knowledge, deduct things that may or may not be true. Next up, we see some more free running and whatnot. It's all stuff that we've seen before, but then we get to see a workbench, something we haven't seen before, and Cal uses it to upgrade BD-1, so he's able to work on more things in the world. It seems these upgrades are relatively linear given it just says acquire upgrade, but that could just be something for this demo. However, the likely scenario is that BD-1 has one single upgrade path, which allows for you to increase his voltage when you find particular items that you come across every so often on each of the planets. When you then interact with a workbench, you can implement these upgrades into BD-1 and he becomes more useful and more powerful. And that's about it for the extended cut. It adds a lot more interesting pieces to the puzzle, as well as some scenes that really get my mouth watering for a Star Wars game. Not literally watering, though. I'm not a complete animal. Just metaphorically. Were this a nice juicy steak, my mouth would be watering. There's a large article from Game Informer, which I'll link below, but to summarize the key points, this game is not at all what myself or many of us thought it would be. It seems the demo was merely a slice of the game. The extended version did add some bits and pieces, and I wrote this section prior to that extended cut coming out, but regardless, I feel it's additional. Let me try and break it down simply. This game has a main story. That main story takes you to many planets. These planets can be visited at will via your ship, which has a crew of characters that you meet throughout the game. These planets are not linear, but are, however, semi-open. You have to navigate them and explore them to find the main quest or discover side objectives and secrets. The best way I can think of explaining it is like God of War. You start on Midgard, and that area is huge and open. You can follow the markers to get to the main quest, or you can go off the beaten track and explore different paths. This hybrid between linear and open world. It's not quite The Witcher 3, but it's not quite Uncharted, balanced nicely in between. You then use the Bifrost to visit different realms, all of which have a similar setup, not linear and not open world, full of main stories, side stories, and secrets that make exploring worthwhile. It seems that's what we're getting from Jedi Fallen Order, and I'd expect very different setups for these worlds. For example, Kashyyyk is very wild, it's full of stormtroopers, secrets, wildlife, etc. However, if you visit somewhere more civilized, there'll be more people, shops, places to upgrade, and quests to gain that might take you back to these other planets to be completed. It means that this world isn't linear, it's not level based, it's more like a God of War type approach, and I love it. I'm fully on board with this, so long as they manage to pull it off. Obviously, I wouldn't be on board if they didn't. For fuck's sake, why do I say such a dumb thing? I won't go over everything the article talks about. You can read up on it if you want to. It's linked below. Honestly, I think this game sounds great. The gameplay shown is exciting and interesting. All it needs is a little polishing. The atmosphere from the trailer and demo is perfect. The soundtrack is fantastic. The story, as seen in the first trailer, seems very intriguing, with the devs keeping a lot of it close to their chest. And this new stuff from this article leads me to believe there is a lot that we aren't being told. And this could be brilliant. This should be and could be the Star Wars game that people have been waiting for. It could also be the Star Wars game that we haven't been waiting for and will hate. And with this being EA, I don't want to hold my breath, especially if they decide to implement surprise mechanics.
We don't call them loot boxes. I think that was
whatever term you wish to apply to them. Do you consider them ethical?
So what we look at as surprise mechanics.
But I'll reserve judgment until released, because despite being EA, they seem to be doing everything right, and everything we know sounds good. Fingers crossed this isn't shit. Wow, that's the state of this industry. Fingers crossed it isn't shit. Let me know your thoughts. What do you think of the trailer, the demo, all the info? Let me know. And if there's anything else you'd like me to cover, I enjoy doing videos like this that are more informal. Just going over info, trailers, demos, giving my thoughts, more so than just reporting news like a robot. So go on, give me some things to talk about. Go check out my previous trailer breakdown. Go check out my Avengers video and whatever else is on this channel. I don't remember half of it, but I'm sure it's quality stuff. I try to upload here as much as I can, as well as on my second channel, Lasers Extra, for more real life stuff with my girlfriend. Like and sub, all that jazz. Cheers, folks. I'll see you all next time.